tonight, so I'm hoping that I'm able to get home, or at least be on the train before 12. And so this is what I'm gonna start doing from now on, right? Just gonna start vlogging. And that suits the fact that, for the most part, my mouth is always shut. Like, if you saw me in real life, you may even think I don't know how to talk. And that's because, for the most part, I just keep to myself. Recently, that is, I've been keeping to myself. And it's almost been like a discipline by now. And so, yeah, you learn new things when you keep your mouth shut. You hear a lot more, you're able to understand a lot better. But what also happens is you don't have as many conversations as you normally would with ordinary people. And so now I'm trying to transition myself out of that quietness and being a little bit more open with myself and those around me, while still being able to maintain my privacy, of course. Just upload this video, for example, months later, after it's been recorded. The other thing I'm gonna try to do is not edit anything. I wanna be a different type of YouTuber, okay? One that doesn't cut anything. The show just keeps going. I'm not sure as to how long I'm gonna make these videos for. This being the first one, I guess we'll see after tonight what happens. The other obstacle I have to navigate through is how to not get people who want none to do with it in the picture. Oh wow, I thought that was our train. So we still got time. Now that's gonna make a difference. Like I said, I'm not planning on cutting anything. It's gonna be raw footage. Maybe make them 2 hours long, because I am looking to sponsor some of this, especially with AdSense, Google AdSense. And I know so long as your videos are not just long, but also engaging, meaning you got viewers past this point and moving forward, then you're on the money. Or at least I'll be on the money. In order to do that, I think, other than to make it engaging, is to add a lot of fun facts, comedy in between, just to keep it going. It is a little windy out here. I'm praying that the sound isn't as bad once I get home and upload this video, because it is a little windy out here. Noisy too. I'm sure you're able to pick that up on. Normally, like at 4 or 5, this whole highway is congested, just not moving, just vehicles stopped. They're moving very slowly. But it is 8:18 p.m. right now. It's moving. And so I don't want to waste my entire film just being on this platform. So although I don't plan on cutting anything, I will pause the videos in between and then resume. So as long as my camera's up, none's gonna be cut. But if I reach a point where it's like people are gonna start walking away after this, or even before the 5-minute mark, then it's in my best interest, to wait, stop, see if something changes. Because what else is there to talk about on this platform other than my shoes? We'll leave it at that. So, BRB. Alright, seeing as though the scene, the shoes, is what you saw last. Alright, resuming the video and on to the next scene. I do want to talk a little bit about my shoes. See, I don't know how people perceive them, at least initially. Well, I know how they perceive them initially, just because someone might say they look like Yeezys. Not so much on video, but if you saw them in person, especially when they were brand new, you might start to question yourself. Now they're getting a little bit old, and I'm not fooling anybody. But the truth of the matter is, that was never my intentions. In fact, I really thought I'd be able to get away by buying cheaper shoes that could have potentially came from the same factory while saving a lot of money. And so, when people ask me where I got these shoes, I tell them Amazon Basics. And that's exactly what these are. Well, maybe not. The Basics is usually registered for those Amazon type brand. But I did get them from Amazon. They ended up being 40 bucks. To this day, I've had them for almost a year now. Half a month. To this day, they continue to be one of the most comfortable shoes I've owned. The only complaint is the grip, like at the bottom. You know those things that's supposed to stop you from slipping? I think within a month or two, those were... It lost all its grip. I'm not too sure why that is. Oh wait, maybe because they didn't come from the same factory that Yeezys come out of. Hello. But that's the only complaint. And honestly, winter's gonna come soon. It's gonna be hazardous. Not that you should be wearing these kind of shoes out in the snow anyways, but the fact that I've myself experienced, you know, how slippery they could be just on wet floor, then I can't imagine how I think I'm gonna be able to get away with this, with these shoes, once snow starts pouring. Now, hopefully I'm not in Illinois. Hopefully, you know, I'm able to move with my plans. Move back to Hawaii. That'd be sweet. I remember when I was in Hawaii, I was like, I had missed Chicago, which is what you're looking at now. Look at that, beautiful, right? Yeah, but back to what I was saying. When I was in Hawaii, I wanted to be in Chicago so bad. It almost felt like I wanted to be in two places at once. And so when I managed to come home, you know, after leaving Hawaii, knowing full well I was gonna go back, I had to remind myself that no matter how much, you know, no matter how much you like Chicago, or no, let me rephrase that. I had to remind myself that no matter how bad I like Hawaii, no matter, you know, how beautiful I thought it to be, no matter, you know, everything, no matter what you thought of that place, I told myself that I'm not gonna live how I was living over there, meaning two places at once. No, I'm in Chicago. I'm gonna enjoy Chicago for what it is. It was my new mindset, and once I do get to move back to Hawaii, you know, that same mindset maintains. I'm in Hawaii. I'm thousands of miles away from home. This is where I chose to live, and I'm gonna live it. And forget about Chicago, just like how I forgot about Hawaii once I did land here. Because at the end of the day, I am going to be secluded, right? Middle of the Pacific Ocean, where, you know, even radars with airplanes, lose signal because of how big that ocean is. And so I'm getting to my other stop here on Roosevelt. Another 5 minutes went on talking about my shoes, and I'm gonna leave you guys with the link at the bottom of the description down below, just because if you are on a budget, right, and you're not living anywhere where snow is gonna pour down on you, then these might be a good option, because at the end of the day, they're 40 bucks. Yeah, the grip is gonna be lost within a month or two. But if you needed some throwaway or for your guests, there's some, just some to work with until your next paycheck or something. These shoes will be it. They do look nice. Again, a lot better in person than on video. And I've gotten a lot of compliments, at the end of the day. So let me leave the video at that. Let me switch over to the red line now. Alright, so we're back. I'm on my way to the red line now at Roosevelt, and I just realized something as I was switching trains, which is you guys don't even know where I'm going, do you? I didn't even talk about where I was heading. I told you what time I planned on hitting the train by back home. I didn't even tell you where I was going, and so I don't think I'm gonna want to tell you anymore, because it's like, then it's gonna be boring. But I don't want to disappoint you guys either. Like, I'm not going nowhere special. This is just my day-to-day activities and what I do. I'm gonna have to figure out how to blur these people's faces, just because I wouldn't want them to record me without my permission, right? Let me pause this real quick. Alright, so here we are, downstairs, the red line station, heading north. Howard, Roosevelt. See, if you're not from Chicago, once you decide to stop and visit here, you'll have a lot better directions than if you didn't watch my videos. So be happy. And know that on top of other information you may obtain from watching this video or this channel, you'll also be able to navigate Chicago a little better. The other thing I need to work on is how to keep the camera on, in front of pedestrians. Like, I feel like if I had some, like, 2 security guards right next to me, you know what? That would be ideal. I don't want to hold the camera forever. I gotta do what I gotta do now, but eventually I do see myself, speaking just freely. Camera being pointed at me. 2 guards standing right next to each other, just to let people know we mean business. We're shooting a film, we're shooting a show. They could either respect it, watch it live, and enjoy it for what it is, or than 2 bodyguards, right? 2 security guards. I don't know. I just feel like that's enough. Like, you super serious about this. Enjoy it. Don't like it, don't watch it. I guess I'll tell you guys where I'm going. So recently, I reapplied to be an AMC Stuff A-list member. And I was just looking at the different movies that were gonna come out here in theaters soon, or already being shown. And I wasn't really convinced, with what was out there. But then I looked into being a member just because I needed to remind myself how much I used to be paying versus now, and it hasn't changed. But to my surprise, once I reelected to restart the membership for this first month at least, I paid less than $6 for I paid less than $6 for what would have been $23 a month. And mind you, it is gonna go back to the normal rate of $23 a month by next month. But by then, I'm not sure if I'm gonna end up keeping it, just because I'm not really a fan of horror movies. Right? They scare me. And that's all we're gonna be seeing, next month, especially. I mean, they're already horror films now. I think that's what we're being bombarded with, and it's only gonna new titles are only gonna be released soon with the Halloween season. And so I don't know. I may just keep it, just because I do enjoy watching movies. I'm gonna stop talking for a second. Keep on talking once I enter the train.
Doors closing.
Okay, so this is what the inside of CTA or Chicago train looks like.
Harrison.
I may have to cut it. Again, I'm not a fan of shooting
on the left at Harrison.
Shooting people with my camera at a public place without their permission. And can you imagine me asking each and every single individual, hey, is it okay if we film you? By that time, it doesn't even matter. The minutes already had ran out. I'm already at the next stop, or at my next stop. So I'm not gonna do that. Let me see what I look like right now. Oh, not bad. Should, if anything, I'm shooting myself, right? Anyways, what was I gonna talk about? Oh yeah, the movies. I've seen 3 so far. So with this membership, I'm allowed to watch 3 every week. This will be my 4th movie this month.
Doors closing.
And it's not movies I wanted to see. It was more like there was nothing more to see. And so for my 3 previous watch ones, as far as favorites go, I couldn't even tell you. Like, that one stood out. But I do want to look at my list real quick, just to see what movies just to remind myself what movies I have seen. So 1 second. Okay, after a little reminder, I just did remind myself that out of those 3 movies I've seen so far, Free Guy was the worst. I'd rather watch the original concept movie, which is They Live. Yeah, it was They Live. Badass movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Get out of the door. Get on the train or get off.
But Free Guy was just like a bad ripoff. The Car Counter was awesome. That would go on top of my list.
Is next.
I was reading the comments following watching that film, and one person said that there's no card counting involving with poker. Can someone tell me the accuracy of that? Just because I've played poker before, but I don't.
This is Monroe.
I don't remember how to play. Like, if I were to play poker and beat you, I'm just guessing. So that's where my poker skills are. But the movie was pretty badass. And then the third film I watched was Cry Macho, something Macho, based out of a book someone had written. It had a storyline, but it was kind of boring to me. So that'd go like second, Free Will being the worst, or Free Guy being the worst.
Next. Doors open on the left.
And then today I'm watching Cop Shop.
Transfer to orange.
That should be interesting. So I guess
And blue line
after
trains
tonight,
at Lake.
I know if my top one favorite changed, or it remained. Yeah, but the film doesn't start till later. So I'm gonna do a little walking around. I think you guys are gonna enjoy what's out here on Friday nights. It's a lot to see, a lot to do, a lot of party going on.
This is Lake.
I'm gonna get off in the next
Transfer
few times,
to orange, green,
allow me
pink,
to
brown,
add
and
another
blue line
box to this
trains
video.
at Lake.
You know how earlier I mentioned shooting around somewhere in the 2-hour mark? That's definitely not gonna happen tonight. You know, my battery was, I wouldn't say fully charged, but it was 80% up there. And as you can imagine, it's already well down into the 55 level. And I haven't even been shooting a lot. But that's what happens, you know, when you got a high-res camera doing all that work for you. And on top of that, the front display, the front 4K display being lit at all times. And so that's just the kind of specs you could expect from a Samsung Galaxy Note 10, which I'm very happy and pleased with. But the battery also takes its toll. And unless we get those new batteries that are supposed to roll out by the same inventor who created those, what are those water guns called? Can't think of the name. Is it, oh man. I'll have to remember later. But the same guy who invented these water guns ended up developing these new prototype batteries. They're super thin, but they're supposed to be rolled out in the future and hold a bigger charge than what's currently.
Throughout the day, I'm just constantly
Than what's currently powering our phones, probably cars too. And so I'll have to get the name and reference later. Just bear with me, you know. Especially when you're on the spot, it's hard to think of things. At least for me, it is. But yeah, here we are. This is actually kind of a slow day for it being a Friday night. Normally, both sides of the sidewalks would be crowded. At least outside it was 2 weeks ago, the week before that, and so forth. But now it seems like it's dying down. I don't know. Could be the weather. It's not cold out though today. It's like perfect. I think it's like 78, 80 degrees out here. And it's been chilly these past few days. But today was just, you know, I told myself that if I don't go out, I'm just gonna be home depressed with how nice it is. But enough about me. I think I want to continue that conversation we were having about the movies, the films that are currently out, and whether or not I plan on renewing. And yeah, so I'm actually headed in a different direction, but I got all the time in the world to speak. See, out in public, out in the street, especially in a touristy area like Chicago, it feels different. It feels like you are allowed to. But once you're in the underground stations, subway, or in a closer, confined space next to people, you just almost don't want to. You know, you don't want to get you don't want that confrontation.
No, it's on Dearborn right over here.
But out in public, it doesn't really matter.
It's fine. We'll get it. Oh my God! Seriously?
You guys just saw that. People, you know, anybody, I'd be the first one. You got the camera in front of you, you're gonna act different. You're gonna act nervous. It's normal. Some, they're called actors, some act a lot better in front of a camera than they would have should there have not been a camera. I think I fit somewhere in there. Only because back to Chicago being a touristy city, I've had so many people, you know, take my picture. Not because I was in the picture. No. Yeah. Not because they wanted to take a picture of me, per se. More so, I just happened to be in the picture. And so, that was fun, you know. I always posted for the camera. Why would I mean mug them, right? I always had that thought in the back of my head. Why would I mean mug them when I would probably end up doing the same later on? And here I am. Now I've got the camera rolling. Oh, look at this car. Skip the girls' right room, but focus on the car. Yeah, we don't care about no girls, bro. See, the way I see it, and this is a new way of thinking than I had previously thought. I feel like there's so much pressure put on guys, men, you know, to get the girl, to, you know, to be there, to go and make that connection. And it's like, I used to be like that, for real. That even came natural. And it worked. But I'm just like at this point where it's like, you know what? There's more girls than guys. Two, I'm not really that bad looking. If these girls want me, they can have me. If they don't, they can continue walking. That's the kind of the new attitude I have for me. That, mind you, it hasn't given me results. You know, I don't think I've had sex for over a year and 2 months. And there's a reason for that too. Oh man. Yeah, it's time, you know, it's time to open up. It's time I start doing talking now, because for the exact same amount of time, a year and 2 months, maybe 3, I've had to almost force myself to keep it shut and just be quiet. But it's like, that time has passed. I'm gonna be okay. And there's a lot that needs to be cleared up. So we're gonna talk, right? Past that point and just enjoy ourselves. But with one of the objectives being that there are things that need to be cleared up. Man, look at this beautiful view. Beautiful, isn't it? That's Chicago for you. To my surprise, Chicago's still the 3rd largest city here in the U.S. But honestly, with how clean they keep it here, you think it'd be number one. That's one thing I've heard from a lot of different tourists who come across Chicago. They always say, your city is very clean. New York, from those same people, I've heard it's quite the opposite. Mind you, they've got a lot more people too, so, you know, it's prone to be a little dirtier, but they've got bigger issues than just garbage. Garbage would, or garbage should be managed a lot better though. But what am I? I'm no mayor. I doubt the mayor could do much. As I stated earlier, my movie theater's on the opposite end, but I had all the time in the world just to do a whole lot of talking and give you guys the view. I will want to eventually sit down somewhere though. I think that would make better sense. Sit down, do a little bit more talking, camera facing me for a bit, refocus my thoughts, and give you guys a little bit more something with substance and value. So I'm gonna go think of something, enjoy my walk, meditate, and come back to you. Did I find somewhere to sit? I sure did. Got this young Indian family departing from the dock here, heading to the Chicago River. Then we have people of all types and race just walking the boardwalk. I had to sit down like I had said. I don't really want to talk about much right now, you know. Sometimes, you know, enjoying moments of silence is just as peaceful. So I'm gonna let this roll for another 5, as is.
Jackson, thank you, dude. Launder a lot of money.
One thing's for sure is I'm glancing around. I'm definitely in the right city. There's no mistake there. I'm definitely in the right city. I don't enjoy the winters. In fact, I hate winters here, even more than the summer. And I say summer, not because I hate summer, but I just can't stand Chicago summers. They're more humid than hot. Weather gets up, they're up in the hundreds. And there's just a lot better places to enjoy that kind of weather. One place that comes to mind is, other than Hawaii of course, is Mexico, you know? Mexico, I mean, it's a big country. There are parts of the place. There are parts where there's nobody living there. You know? And that, you can't compare it to Russia, because that place has like, I don't know, like 12, 13, 15 different time zones. Russia, that's just a massive land, a huge massive land.
2 hours after you left.
Controlled by the Russian state.
I say 6. No, 1 hour later. 1 hour later. We left at 7:45, sis. We got here at 8:45. You got 15 minutes. So I'm like,
Beautiful ladies.
That's my favorite!
Would like to block my camera.
Can I pee? I actually
It's all for attention, of course. It works half the time. Next time, I'm definitely bringing my tripod. In fact, not only am I taking it with me, that's how I'm gonna be holding my phone from now on. There's a lot of things I have to do differently. Like if I'm really gonna start enjoying activities like these.
It's like, you know, when your kids are acting like assholes. Yeah, but if
She didn't go. She got.
someone's being an asshole to my kid, I'm telling my kid being an asshole.
Who would have thought it'd be this fun? The second I started doing it, I fell in love with it. Obviously, these first few segments of today's video isn't gonna be like up there with all my feature videos, and how eventually I will work on the editing part. I feel like regardless of how good or bad this first video turns out, I'm set for the future, baby. Like just last night with the new book I had just picked up, it made a lot of sense. It's something I've always known, just didn't know how to do it. And it's like, hey, I still don't, but I know what it feels like to be on the right track. And that's exactly how I'm feeling right now, you know? Exactly how I'm feeling right now. And time can only improve things so long as the effort is put in. Effort and discipline. With discipline being the main foundation. Something I could work on in other areas. Something I've struggled to work with for years, that, you know, if I have to talk about it on the next video, I will, but I'm hoping I don't until I get rid of that nasty habit. It's not nasty, it's more like draining. So it comes just as close. I can only guess you guys can catch my drift.
So it's the business.
Maybe. Anyways, I think I'm gonna get the hell out of here. We can't be somewhere for too long. It gets tiring. I didn't bring my tripod. But next time I will. And I'm just gonna do a whole lot of talking. Or if we got backgrounds, people in the backgrounds and decent backgrounds going on live. At least recorded when they were alive. Life's precious. Let's enjoy every minute. Talk to you later. Shot from a different angle. You guys already knew where I was. But sometimes you do have to move. I think that's part of the reason why I used to keep to myself. And that's mostly due to the fact that there are eavesdroppers, right? Eavesdroppers who just want to pick up on whatever it is that you got going on. And I don't mind it. Normally I wouldn't. Especially not when I'm doing my vlogging. It's more like, right now it might have just bothered me just a tiny bit. Because I've just started it and I don't really know how to deal with that and more. But there's gonna be progress, especially with the different bystanders that do, pedestrians that, you know, not only want to get in your way, they want to get that, you want to get noticed. It's funny. I love it. Keep it coming. I don't like to holler no more, like I said. I'm just gonna do things different. You want me, you can have me. Maybe. Better get moving though. My movie does start momentarily. It then becomes obvious that it's no Snapchat shit. This guy really vlogging.
I literally got all the way over my outlet.
I'm gonna try to get away to all these folks. There's too many of them. Plus half the things they're saying, at least now that they're drunk, make no sense. It's funny though, it's funny. Some who are just fed up with it. It's just that, it gets annoying.
Anyone hit though? It is about power.
We're looking like listen.
I think I'm good though with the camera. In Chicago, it makes sense. You're a tourist. You're filming. Plus, you look the part. I got the whole mic and everything hooked up to me. I'm doing this for real. Oh, there's a cool bar out here. Snickers Bar and Grill. Check it out when you guys get a chance. It always gets hot here. It's always jumping. You're gonna come across all walks of life here, and it's really well managed. It's well managed. Bouncers aren't playing around with you. You know how some bouncers are. I think they're cops half the time, and even cops don't even act like that.
Wow.
But that's what happens when you don't have much power, you know. And I would go with some bus drivers too here. Like some of them say you're not exactly right next to the bus stop. You're just a few feet away. Some bus drivers will not pick you up. They will not pick you up for those little reasons and more. And I feel like it's that power struggle, right? Them not allowing just those that don't meet the criteria, you know, the rules of the book, you know, they're gonna make it known that this is what they can do to show for the little tiny power they have. And and you don't think it's tiny until it happens to you. You think, oh, no big deal. How can you know, how can that happen? But no, like, he will mess up your day if you allow him to. It's hard to let anyone ruin your day, but it happens. It happens all the time. Oh, but back to what I was saying about like the bus drivers. You guys need to understand something. You guys make a whole lot more money than half the people you pick up. And with at least half of them being nice You know, decent, nice people. And with you guys making, you know, 180,000, you know, you guys need to like loosen up a bit. Like it's not the end of the world. You look more powerful. Should you not make things bigger deal than it should be? And that goes with everybody. But right now, we're focusing on the bus driver because, hey, maybe a bus driver here did upset me at one point in my life. Nah, that didn't really happen, but it makes sense that we're on that subject now. We're gonna be on a lot of different subjects and topics, but this is it for today. What we ended up talking about. You know, the weather out here, I didn't explain it half of how nice it feels right now. Like, it's not raining, but you'll feel little drips and drops here and there. Like, I don't know what you'd call that. It's not drizzling. You're just getting like different hints of drops as you're walking. Like, it's not raining. It's just you just feel that. And if I were to have a weather making machine, that's how I keep my weather forever. Just little drops, random. It's not raining. It's just little drops. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I'm like, why did you?
And weather machines do exist. I don't think they're that sophisticated. I could be wrong though. I'd love to play with one. I did, kind of, at the Museum of Science and Industry here in Chicago. That was fun. But obviously I didn't get the full scope. Not even a hint. I didn't even think the machines were working. Well, I just didn't know which levers to pull or not pull or combine. I'm due to follow back up later. I can't wait. And hopefully this time I go straight to the 3rd floor. Because that's where I should have been from day one, which is where the flight simulators are located at. And for some odd reason, I've always wanted to be a pilot. I haven't even had the chance to fly a plane, let alone use some real life flight simulators. It's so odd. I've always wanted to. I even could have at a family vacation years back. But see, we didn't think critically that day. We just bought the whole tickets with everything included, flight simulators as well. And we just ended up being tired long before we even considered just going straight to the flight simulators. So that's one chance I could have. That's one chance I had to play with the flight simulators. But other than that, it's just been Microsoft. And I haven't done that for years. I never knew how to fly a plane. I'd always like get off the runway. But as soon as I started messing with the what are they called? The rudders? No, not the rudder. The rudder, that was fine. It was the flaps I had an issue with. And the degrees and all that. I never got the hang of it. I never really... Yeah, all I care about was flying the plane. I've landed them before, you know. I'm no terrorist. I've landed them. But I don't know if I was doing it the correct way. And so, I think long story short, I need to get my private pilot's license ASAP. Ooh, I'm gonna get it done at Hawaii. It makes sense. They got what, 7 major islands you can fly across? That's probably the only place. It makes sense, you know, for most people to obtain a private pilot's license, at the very least. But to be determined. There's a lot going on in my life right now. And I hope to God You know, I pray to God. It all goes positive. It's all positivity from now on. I need my break. I had my break before, but then I had another hardship. So it's like it's time to come out of that and just feel like how I'm feeling right now. It's just like free. Yeah, I feel good right now. I feel like things will start going good in my life. I feel like, yeah, life's a constant battle. You know? At the end of the day, as you level up, so do you. You know? So 2 nights ago, I did start being appreciative of that fact that I am so much stronger, much more determined, a lot more better than who I was yesterday. A whole lot better. And I'm thankful for that as well. You know, kind of lost my sense of direction. Matter of fact, for my future videos, I do plan on making drawing a little map as to where I was. That'd be fun. And then later retrace my steps and know that this is exactly where I was.
Take your mask off.
I'm afraid to go out. I'm sorry.
I can't wait for a real life Grand Theft Auto Chicago. I think if nobody develops it, I will have to start working on it. I already started it. I wouldn't be able to do it all by myself though. Obviously, I just want to pick out the soundtracks and have Suicide Boys have their own channel. Oh my god. Like, yeah, the Suicide Boys could have other songs with other stations, but at the end of the day, they deserve their own. Like this one YouTube comment said, their own 666 station. Oh my god, that'd be hot. You know, most people who know nothing about the boys, I'm one of them. You know, I really don't know. But based on what I know is, I know this may be a little harder for most people to comprehend, but those guys, they're philosophers like Aristotle / Plato type. Is it, you know, think about what I just said and then ask yourself, is it really that hard to comprehend that they might just well be a different type of philosophers from the same level, if not greater, than Plato and Aristotle? You know, I'm not making that claim. I'm just saying they could. I know for a fact they're philosophers. For a fact. I don't think most people grasp that, other than their fans, maybe. And even then, maybe. No, I think they do. I think those who've been through the worst, they know another aspect of life. And to some extent, you know, even though it was completely different than what they might have gone through, I can relate. And I also relate back to the music and so many other ways. There's some songs, mind you, that I've recently started disliking, just because it's like I grew out of that. I don't no longer feel how I might have once felt. towards a song. And sometimes, and this goes with their other music, their other songs, I'm not a big fan of the lyrics and what they say. You know, sometimes it is kind of like, it could be, and to me, right? Could be something I think twice than to, I don't know, I just don't know. But without getting too drifted apart from where I was going with this conversation, one song that sticks out that I recently disliked, because I don't no longer feel this, have this attitude towards this world anymore. Even though, you know, I'm one to even though I've been one to have his eyes open and see things I'm glad I saw, but they were very hurtful regardless, was, hold on one second, excuse me, was, where was I going with this? You know, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, no, I didn't tell you guys which song I started disliking, right? No, I did. Yeah, that Trust Nobody song. Yeah, still think it's got a hot beat, but I no longer agree with the lyrics. You know, despite the fact that life has shown that it's always, at least from what I've heard, it's always going to be those closest to you. Always. That only makes sense. Who else? Nobody outside your world knows you, right? Who else? And it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's either money, jealousy, or the combination of the two. So I understand. But with that song though, I've also, on the flip side, I've also met, and they're rare. Like, I met people that I know would have my, would do anything for me. Anything. And I've also felt vibes, you know, at the different places I've also started hanging around at. People whose frequencies seem to be vibrating at my level or higher. People who I want to connect with, who I should have been connected with a very long time ago. I think I was always waiting. No, it's not that I think. I know it was always the case that I was waiting for me to get my paper up on my own. You know, I just kind of wouldn't have presented this ready opportunity just because I like these people. But really, I think the right move, assuming, you know, they're not too far away, is getting these people on board. You know, these are people who I love to show up to work and see their faces, like legit, 100%. And then, you know, what better than to be making money together? You know, the fact of life is, I am gifted, I am skilled, and recently I've acquired this new curve to me, where I can make money on demand. But with that also takes work. It's a whole process. It needs more players in order to replicate the cycle I've created or the cycle I've started creating on. And it just, you know, the dream team is there. I just gotta get them on board. I don't want to go in tomorrow. I could. I don't want to, but I could. You know, I just don't feel welcome there no more. At all. And I don't think I made the right decision by getting her involved. Just bad decisions. Hey, but someone had to know, you know? So what I'm referring to, you guys, as I'm speaking out loud here, thinking out loud, was this incident that occurred at Blink Fitness. Now that place, that was my safe haven, right? Nobody bothered me there. I made friends there, or so I thought. No, I did. Who am I kidding? But on the same token, you know, people always expose themselves. I think that's what happened, and I get why it might have been hurtful for people, but I don't think they really know what's going on with me. Why I start acting like that? Okay, so let me give you guys a rundown and insight to those Blink members who might even be watching this right now. Okay, so I caught a case a year and 2 months now. You might have heard. A year and 2 months ago, I caught this BS case where 2 officers who might have just been intoxicated themselves ended up arresting me on false charges that these 2 ladies had completely fabricated. And despite my shirt being torn in half and being all bruised from one side of my arm, she still sided with the same 2 girls who said that I had gotten into an altercation with them and proceeded by hitting them not just in the face but in the chest area about 5 different times. And this is all on top of the fact that one of the police officers on the scene, same one who ended up arresting me, he ended up talking to that one witness they had. He didn't take that information and put it in the report, which after speaking to somebody else later, I also came to find out that was fishy. But you've got this witness who just tells the police what had just happened, which was the complete opposite of what these 2 ladies were indicating, and he just didn't even want to hear it. It was odd to see that he didn't even want to hear it. He just wanted to arrest someone just because, and he didn't really want to hear anything different. And then what boggles my mind even further is shortly after that, the officer relays that info to his partner. They both get confused as to what's next, and somehow, in harmony, they agreed that it was probably best to just lock me up. So here I am, sitting in the back of this truck, right? That they just had put me in, handcuffed and all, on my way to the station. I'm missing a phone. They were able to recover one, but the other one, I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it back. It's gone. Anyways, as I started heading into the station and started getting booked and processed, one of the first questions that same officer asked me was how much I had to drink that night. And I just looked at him, right? Like nobody. I told him I don't even drink. That's when he looked at his partner, and they just both looked at each other like, they both looked at each other. And then decided it was best to not ask me any more questions. And so from that point, they stopped with all the questions. They still proceeded to pressing charges, getting that picture in, as long as getting those fingerprints in. And I just remember even like thinking, like, boy, have these guys have just messed up. I just remember right there thinking, ooh, these boys, they don't know what they just done. Of course, I kept my mouth shut. They were nice. I mean, after the fact, they rushed me to the hospital. The second I asked to be seen by one, they brought me back, and within a couple of hours, I was released. I think they call it an I-bond. And so, rather than paying the $1,000, I was just walking free. What happens next is I get a court hearing for the following month. Mind you, this is still missed the Corona times. And so I head to court. Once I get there, they're sending everybody home with a piece of paper in their hand. And mine was indicating that I was to follow back to court next month, but it was going to be through Zoom. And so that happened. But what ended up upsetting me, was later on in the court disposition, it's still said, I'm still marked as somebody who didn't show up to court on his first initial hearing date, which was not true. But that's how it's on the record. And on that second hearing date, I should say, the judge asked me, he read those charges to me. He asked me how I'd like to proceed. I told him it's a pro se. Maybe I didn't use those words. I just said, I told him I was just looking to represent myself. And that's kind of when he just looked at me like I was this crazy kid. Told me to think it through with my lawyer and to come back the following month. And he said that for another 4 or 5 hearing dates following that initial request. And so I wasn't interested, right? I knew how I wanted to proceed.
Straight to the right, straight to the
I let him know, like, this was it. But at the time, he didn't understand that. And so what I remember doing was I just asked for a jury trial. And it was there and then where they moved me to a different branch 46 here in Chicago. Domestic relations and abuse, some crazy stuff like that, is where my court hearing is going to take place. So I get moved to that branch. What happens next is I find out that court won't be open, won't resume until a couple months in due to the coronavirus. These are jury trials. They didn't want to have people in. And so that was upsetting to know that my life was going to be on pause until then. And it was right there and then I figured my next best thing to do was to just ask for it to be moved back to the original bench to see if I could get everything taken care of in the meantime, right? I mean, I was hoping that was gonna be it, but I was thinking like, it's better. My thinking process was it's better to do something than to just sit still and do nothing. And so when that file did get moved back to the other court, at that point, the same judge, Judge Panarese, he knew I was serious, you know? He knew I was serious. He had seen me multiple times, despite him, you know, keeping his who are you frame. He knew, man, probably hates me. But there's nothing to hate, like, I'm just trying to get away from all this. Like, you know, you guys can't have my soul. Damn. But that's how it feels. Anyways, nothing, long story short, nothing gets resolved there. Nothing. Within the span of 2-3 months, it's the same thing. And I'm kind of glad, you know, I learned that I can't do nothing there, because if I were to have not listened to my intuition, I probably would have proceeded with their trials there, which would have been biased, not just biased, it just would have been bogus, considering the fact that I was given a warrant for my arrest. Everything, like, see, they came out and looked for me. Crazy stuff like that. I wanted to know where I was. I wasn't even living where I came from anymore. Guess where they went? Just a lot of BS. And I later learned that I could have motioned to squash that warrant. But guys, if you guys knew the full story, you'd know it wouldn't have made a difference. I think, in fact, it's those crazy emotions I drafted out there got them upset. Like, I didn't graduate from Harvard. I didn't know what I was saying. I still made my point across, though. But I do plan on going back there, or not going back there, but starting some classes there in the near future. I think that's always been my dream, just to go there, have that degree in law now. That's what I'm gonna start focusing on from now on. I actually did develop a new appreciation for it. I mean, given that I'm experiencing it, given that I'm still considered gray area, given that my bond says I could go as far as the state lines are spread. Not past that, not past the Illinois state lines, I should say. I'm stuck in Illinois. I'm not gonna lie though, it's not that bad, especially when you're in the city. But it's still like, it's something that shouldn't be there. Like, something that should have been removed on our last court hearing. But to my surprise, he's already upset, and that's because on our that's too much. You know, it doesn't even matter. He got upset. I'm upset. We're all upset. It's odd. It's. It's amazing. And everything. I mean, God's with me. God's been with me from the beginning. He's been there from day one. And I can only thank him for how he's about to bless me. Straight up, everything I've lost, everything that was taken from me, I already know it's gonna be multiplied. It's gonna be it's gonna be recovered, multiplied 10 times and 10 times over again. You know, that's just how it's gonna go. But yeah, back to the legal system and what I'm experiencing. You know, I had to take a break from even contacting my public defender. This is, mind you, this is not how I wanted to proceed from the start. But I wouldn't be shooting this video right now if I wouldn't have elected my public defender to start speaking on my behalf. Holy cow, I had to. He was my key that day. And I haven't fired him despite the fact that he pissed me off. He kind of did redeem himself at court. You guys should have seen how well dressed he was. I told him, please dress up. Oh, I don't think he did it for me. I think that's just how he is. How he would have dressed up regardless. But you guys should have seen him. Freaking badass. Respect. Honestly. Oh, and yeah, he got the judge got upset, you know. Later on, the judge ended up taking that on me. And so that's why I'm not talking to nobody, you know. I'm just that's not the thing I want to focus on no more. Like, I got, as far as I'm concerned, I got my date. My date's already on their calendar. It's on mine. Hopefully it doesn't come to that point, but if it does, at least I have a date now. Whereas before I didn't, and I was afraid that truthfully, yeah, I was afraid that my status of limitation would have expired by the time everything, at least in the first stage, would have been required in order to proceed. And that would be the last, that'd be like safe for the last resort. What I'm more consider doing is get it settled. You know, settle something with the state of Illinois first and foremost. Settle it with the city, the county, Wrigley. Who else? And then the original family who got themselves involved in the first place. You know? Did I tell you guys? Yeah, I did tell you. The warrant was issued for my arrest. You know, here I was stressing out because the bond ended up being 10 times bigger, 10 times greater than the original bond for the original bogus arrest. Imagine, I got a $10,000 bond, a bogus bond, just because the judge feels like it. There was nothing, and I mean nothing right about that warrant. Nothing. He gets upset because supposedly I left his court, you know. My problem, he was never there to begin with. I never spoke to him. I spoke to this different judicial officer who I've heard about and haven't seen. And when he shows up, he was already like told what to do, what to say. He wasn't even listening to what I was saying. He just carried on and started talking crazy like a robot. Talking about you're gonna issue you a warrant for your arrest, and I'm just like confused, like what? The funniest part being that shortly after, I find out that the original judge whom I was seeing issued it. Just a different judge carried that message for him that day. And I just find stuff like that odd. It's like, bro, if you were gonna give me a warrant, you should have showed up. You know, that's something that upsets me just thinking about. Like, you weren't there to give me the warrant, the bogus warrant you drafted out. It shouldn't have told. I mean, from the start it shouldn't have, but even more now that just the way it was set up like that, it was bogus. Oh, And as it turns out later, you know, and this is what a state's attorney told the court, that the only reason why I found myself in jail was due to the fact that I wouldn't waive my jury rights. Fuck no, I wouldn't. I'm crazy? What you guys think I would? No, that's like, you guys, and I'm still unsure as to what could be next. Because, okay, I've even had that thought that what if false actors show up that day, you know? I'm just like, I am scared to some degree, knowing how far they've taken things, how far they've blown things out of proportion, how they basically unintentionally tried killing me at one point. And if I were to be even more honest, I could see how they were prepared to just continue shifting blame. And I say that because at one point, I wasn't given my meds, and these aren't just like, you know, meds that some people take due to, say, mental issues. I mean, that's a real thing. Don't get me wrong, that's a real thing. But my thing is, with these anti-rejection pills, is if I don't take these anti-rejection pills, you know, my liver will start to fail on me. And that's not a hypothesis, that's a known fact. Like, I take medicine every 12 hours, guys. Non-stop. I have been for years. You know? For years now. This has been like my routine. Don't take them. No. That's not even a thought. You know? You always have to. I always take them. I've missed them in my entire life once or twice, but that's about it. Thank God I finally became responsible on my own. Because before, it was almost like spoon-fed. Now it's like, it's a routine. I don't think about it. It's like brushing my teeth. But would you guys be surprised to know that at one point, you know, while being in the holding cell, shortly after I declined to waive my jury rights, or my trial by jury, I was in this cell in which they thought it'd be a good idea to just not give me my medicine, you know, try to break me down for a bit. And I just found that to be pure evil. I ended up having a little mental breakdown a minute after they finally issued me my pills 2 hours later. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, guys. Trust me, it is. Look it up, anti-rejection pills. Nobody, I feel like, outside, even the medical people, some still don't know what that is. As I came to find out, the paramedics showed up that day. And so they weren't giving me my medicine. They really thought that'd be a good idea to just not give me my medicine. But boy, were they wrong. You know, I don't know if I already stated this, but there is a statute of limitation. There is going to be a claim against them. I'm hoping we'd be able to settle things out long before it even gets this case anywhere near court, right? I hope we could just settle things out. But I couldn't believe that day, you know, assuming I would have been alive, because I didn't know what was going to happen next. But assuming, right, I'm already having this claim I just feel like they just keep making it bigger. They're just keep pumping it, and inflating it, making the balloon even bigger now. Where it's like, if you guys consider giving me $1 million, now it's 2. At least it's more than that, but the point being, like, it just doubled. It just doubled because right after the fact that you guys messed up once, you guys messed up again. In total, I'm thinking so far, as I'm telling the story, 3 players did. It starts with CPD. It shifts into Cook County. But the courts had a lot of fault there as well. The state of Illinois is just as guilty. They know, they're the one who provided me with the video, letting me know that I should have been cleared. So why would they sustain their case and just make it emotionally harder for me to carry on with my life? Just, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it might make sense from their point of view, but at the end of the day, they continue to mess up and mess up and mess up. On one occasion, I had to let my public defender know he just messed up big time. Oh, he blew my phone up. Since then, like I said, we haven't spoken. I've been returning his phone calls. It's probably not a good idea, you know, given that he could just return that favor back as we're approaching our court date. But like I said, I just kind of want to refocus back on what I was doing, or in this case, make new moves. Start this YouTube thing I've always wanted. Keep it low budget until it pays for itself. Until you're able to pay other people to hold the camera for you. Have security guards left and right, making sure nobody's acting out of line. But that's kind of where I want to leave this case. There's more to it, obviously. I may or may not upload those videos for you guys to see. Maybe I will in the future, in the near future, or maybe I won't be able to altogether. One thing's for sure, though, if I were to make a movie, one of the scenes we'd probably focus on was actually what it's like to, at least for what it was for me, what my experience was those 5 days that I ended up taking a little vacation at the county. It was a lot different. I wasn't expecting that such a good treatment. Honestly, I was the only guy who was convinced that we were back in high school, because that's how it felt. The people there, they wanted to do extra stuff. I remember they got mad at me because I wouldn't close the curtains when I would take a number 2. And I just found it funny, you know, like the reason why we're all here is because we broke the rules. Yeah, here you're gonna try and install new rules and expect people to follow them. I never argued with these people, but I thought it was hilarious. And these people ended up being, you know, after everybody got the story straight, these people ended up not being so bad. And I say that because, man, just the biggest obstacle I had to overcome in jail was to convince everybody that I wasn't a cop. Oh my God. I literally had to watch over my shoulders. I was able to go to sleep. It was daytime when everybody was up. that I had trouble, or I didn't want to like really involve myself with anybody just because those few bad apples who had convinced themselves that that I was a cop, and broadcasting that message, I felt like was putting me in a lot of danger, you know, a lot of danger. It was definitely stressful. The first night, I ended up sleeping, you know, like a baby with no worries. But the second I woke up and I started, you know, hearing more about this joke that they had made long before we had slept, you know, continued. And it got really old fast and I ended up being fed up. A lot of the stress that's come with this is the fact that even though everything's pointing in my favor with the body worn cameras and everything, and it shows that I didn't even lay a single finger on anybody or their daughter, the hardest or the most stressful situation about it being prolonged for this long is not getting in trouble in between. Like, I feel like I almost can't even defend myself, because if I were to catch anything, even if it's completely fabricated like this first one, then things would really stack up against me. And so there's been instances where I've been wanting to fight, I've been wanting to defend myself, I've been wanting to get physical, right? Guys, this is guys I'm talking about, like the jail being a prime example. You know, I just wanted to shut these guys up. The fuck? Why are you guys talking crazy on my name? You guys know where we're at, or where we are at. Why even say that? And you know, in that place, everybody's scared of everybody. That goes with the guards as well. They're the most scared, I feel like, and I'm a little surprised. You know, just because I mean it's from what I saw, they seem to have the area pretty tightly controlled. But there's a lot of everybody knows everybody. That's Chicago. That's what makes it a little bit more difficult. Just all the politics along with it. It was an eye-opening experience for me. You know, having to know people, not just who were detained, but on the other side as well, people whom, you know, in our younger days, you know, high school days, we were, you know, socializing with them. And now here they are, you know, professionals, married. Towards the end, once I left, I remember this female guard, looking at me and telling me, "What you say? Oh, you don't remember me, do you?" And I looked at her. I looked at her name badge. I didn't recognize nothing. So I just, you know, I asked her, like, "What? Did you go to Shepherd?" She goes, "No, but we used to hang out. We used to hang out with the same guys. Chico," she goes, "and Jose." And then right there and then it clicked. I knew who she was. And it was surprising to, you know, I know people everywhere I go usually, but it was surprising, you know, that she really was, you know, someone close at the time. We were close at the time, you know, and to seeing her there, it was surprising just that we hadn't kept in touch. I didn't see her. I didn't know her whereabouts. There she was. And then, you know, we started talking for a little bit, asking what I was up to these days, why I was there in the first place. She was confused as to why I was there. And then I was like, "Yeah, I'm not the violent type." She goes, "Yeah, I didn't think you were." Like, no, I told her, I was like, it was BS, but I did have to turn myself in just to satisfy this bogus warrant. And we wished each other good luck, and we went on with our lives. But jail was interesting to me. Just everything. It wasn't what I thought it was. Then again, they had new protocols due to COVID. But to my surprise, I mean, I feel like if I were to go back there, it'd be a lot more peaceful than the first time. And I say that because ultimately your biggest weapon is your mind.
He doesn't know which way's north.
You know, that's one weapon that no scanner would be able to detect, but could be sharpened. Every day you choose to do better for you, improve your life one way or another. And I feel like my mind, my ability to stay calm and be able to not touch anyone, but also let people know, just I'm off limits, just don't mess with me. It was due to that mind of which I would carry with me at all times. Towards the end, everybody liked me. It was like I had graduated high school again. That's really what it felt like. Never mind how it felt once I was out of those four walls. I felt like I was just reborn. One way or another, I think out of all that BS that I've been finding myself in, that was the most rewarding, the most rewarding thing I could have asked for. Because I've always wanted to know what jail was like. And I got that glimpse. Nowhere I'd go, by choice. Nowhere I plan on going by choice anyways. In fact, I'm trying to stay away from it, but at the end of the day, it was a nice little experience. Some I found myself benefiting in one way or another.
I mean, I can do the same sort of thing.
But let me get this video cut. I'm gonna actually go and watch my movie now, rest a bit, maybe have better things to talk about. And come to find out that maybe I will be able to fulfill that 2-hour mark that I'm still hoping I'd be able to make. I wasn't at first. I didn't think I was. So far, it's been easy. We'll see. Alright, so I am back for another segment of today's episode. And as you can see, I'm at the movie theaters. And I'm a little early as far as the time I was supposed to be home. Excuse me. As far as the time I guess I thought my movie started at 10:45. So when I got at 10:48, they mentioned that the movie started at 10:05. And the door was already closed, so I couldn't even get in. Everything was gated up. Honestly, I'm glad it worked out that way. Only because I'm getting hungry now. It's like popcorn. Well, maybe chicken might have, but popcorn wasn't gonna do much for me. So, in one way or another, it worked out. Plus, it started raining, which would have been nice, so long as I was indoors. But gates were already closed, so just went home instead. But I'm gonna continue doing this. Like, this is gonna be a real thing, guys. Some of you wanna like, subscribe, and follow me. As I will be doing continuous updates as to my day-to-day activities. It's not always gonna be the same, obviously. It will be the same thing, different. You know what I'm getting at. And given that, I might have just hit the 2-hour mark, or at least gotten close to it. I'm just gonna leave it off and cut it here. See you tomorrow.